Hi, my name is Fidelis Kujankuma. Today, we'll be looking at one of the critical topics in public financial management, which is most often talked about: sustainable debt. Most countries, especially low-income countries, face the issue of non-sustainable debts. Most of the times, the public have a misconception that borrowing is really evil. But the truth of the matter is that is a myth. Borrowing is not necessarily an evil thing. But when borrowing becomes an evil is when it is not sustainable. Because when a country borrows today, they can fast track their development and they can really set a good pace for current generations and future ones. So borrowing is not necessarily an evil thing. A country's borrowing is not sustainable. That is when there is a problem. So what is then sustainable debt or sustainable borrowing? This is a level of borrowing where the country can service that borrowing and also will not require any external measures to refinance that loan or will not stop providing essential goods and services to the public by just servicing that loan. This means that before a country borrows, that country should be able to think into the future. What are the programs of the country? How do we mobilize resources to finance that loan? And how do we get enough to also support national development? So, meaning that borrowing by not having robust future projections and plan can be problematic. And therefore, every country that borrows look at all these things. But why is it that most low income countries still face the issue of non-sustainable debt? The question is, most of these countries are unable to forecast truly how things are going to be in the future. And also they don't follow structured plans sometimes. So planned programs most of the times don't go as planned and therefore brings that country to the level of non-sustainability. So the matter is borrowing is very good. However, we need to ensure that a country which is borrowing borrows within sustainable limits. And when a country does that, maintains a discipline and ensure that borrowing levels are within sustainable limits, that country will progress. That country will develop. Because if with the intention of borrowing and ensuring that development is really fast tracked, if the country doesn't ensure that it follows the true protocols and gets to the point that borrowing becomes unsustainable, it goes back to default. Why? Because that country will face a lot of issues, get close access to the international market to borrow, increases the country's credit risk, and means that lenders are going to require high risk premium. Also has the potential of affecting the country's inflation and foreign direct investment. So low income countries are supposed to ensure that borrowing limits are really within acceptable and sustainable range. Let me know what you also think in the comment section.